thank you for clicking on this video of Rank the Movies. It is a new week, and we're talking about another movie. Last week we talked Men in Black, the really good trilogy, and the shitty-ass International. This week I'm taking a different route. I'm going to talk about a movie that I really like, that I wish more people would check out, and that is The Great White Hype, starring Samuel L. Jackson. This movie also features Jeff Goldblum, Peter Berg, John Lovitz, Damon Wayans, Jamie Foxx is in this thing, and there's a couple other names, that Corbin Burnson, a couple other names. It's a lot like Southland Tales, in that it's got a great eclectic cast, but this one's actually supposed to be more comedic. So, Samuel L. Jackson plays a boxing promoter called the Reverend Fred Sultan. He represents the Grim Reaper Roper. His first name is, but his tagline is the Grim Reaper, and his last name is Roper. He represents him. This is kind of like Mike Tyson, Don King scenarios. What this movie is really looking at. Fred Sultan runs the empire of the champ, except the empire is losing money because the champ has no opponents. All he's doing is beating up people. And there's no real ticket sales, because he's fighting a guy who's the #1 contender. He beats him. Well, there's no pomp, there's no circumstance to Roper's fights right now. So the Sultan gets an idea. He decides to find a contender who is white, because a black guy and a white guy fighting will make money. He's not incredibly wrong. So he does. He starts looking for a credible contender to Roper's title. Unfortunately, he doesn't find one, because every contender they look at are just guys who are getting beat up in minutes. They then question, Roper's undefeated, except when he was fighting in the Golden Gloves. When he was a kid, when he was a rookie, he lost to a white guy, played by Peter Berg, who is billed as Irish throughout the entire movie, though he ultimately keeps pointing out he's not Irish. The statement he gets in return is, oh, it's just what we call white guys in boxing. All white guys in boxing are Irish. So they decide to screw with the system, get him ranked so he can challenge Roper for the belt, and set up this match as the Great White Hope. Is it hype or is it hope? Hope or hype is how they build it. Is he going to be able to stand up to the champ? Or is he just hype, and is he going to get his ass kicked like everybody else? Sultan doesn't care. He's just trying to make money. The fight can last 20 seconds. He's just trying to make the money. Get people to buy the pay-per-view, buy the tickets, get asses in seats. While this is going on, you have Jeff Goldblum, who's playing an investigative journalist who is trying to expose the Sultan for all of his shady deals. He eventually gets coerced by the Sultan into joining him as his new publicist, and starts wanting to create his own empire based around the white boxer, believing that he could actually beat Roper, because Roper isn't taken seriously. He isn't training. He's putting on a lot of weight. Just because he doesn't care. He's not taking this threat. He's not taking this guy as a threat to his title. Also, while all this is going on, you have Jamie Foxx, who is another promoter who promotes the actual #1 contender for the title, and he keeps sticking his head in and trying to man, you need to get my guy a shot, and then he just gets all scared of the Sultan because the Sultan's a scary guy. Inevitably, we get to the fight after all the pomp and circumstance, and it's a really amusing film. We get to the fight, and Roper, who looks out of shape, he looks awful, knocks Flynn out in less than a round. It's a minute something into the first round. He knocks Whitey out. Bam! And the fight is over. Goldblum's dreams are dashed. The Sultan's happy because he's got money. The #1 contender shows up and knocks out Roper because, again, he's super out of shape, showing that, if it was a real fight, he would have probably lost because of his training regimen. And the Sultan then begins to promote the next fight between Roper and the actual #1 contender. It's a really fun story. I really enjoy this movie. It is, it's good. It's very well acted. It's got a great cast. And it does point out a lot of, like, stereotypes we have in this life that we probably would pay more to see a white guy try to become world champion in boxing. I think we have. I think that's a historic proof. Maybe not recently. But again, this movie was made in 1995. I want to say 96. This was a 96 release. So again, back then, yeah. If Mike Tyson had fought a white guy, we would have been all over that as people. And again, that's the idea, is it's a Tyson-Don King story without having to use Tyson or Don King. But it's really fun. Honestly, I think one of the best and weirdest parts is I watched the trailer for this, because it came out in 96. And Jamie Foxx, although he's got like 4 or 5 scenes in this movie, he's not in it a whole hell of a lot. But he's like the second hyped name, because he had gotten more famous while filming this movie. Like, this movie filmed, and he was on In Living Color. Then it started to go into post-production. They started to put the promotional materials, and his career had shot off. He was on his way to start being who Jamie Foxx is today. So all of a sudden, Jamie Foxx was all over the promotional materials, because like, he could sell tickets as much as Sam Jackson could. And Jeff Goldblum, who could also sell tickets, because this is the same time as Independence Day, around Independence Day, and Jurassic Park isn't as hyped as the other names. I really like The Great White Hype. It's a really fun boxing movie, and I like boxing movies. It's not my favorite. My favorite is obviously Play It to the Bone. Most people probably thought I was going to say Rocky. No, I like Play It to the Bone. That's a great movie. But it's a good boxing movie. It's really enjoyable. Everyone does a great job with their performances. If you've never checked out The Great White Hype, check it out. It ain't hype. It is the truth of this movie. But definitely give it a try. All right. Well, that does it for me for this week at the old Rank the Movies HQ. Next week, I'm going to talk about a great film with Michael J. Fox. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come back next week. Have a good one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you got something to say. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Have a good one.